Welcome to Parks and Cons SoCal Park Talk, where we bring you news from the Southern California theme park scene and take you to the heart of some of those parks. I'm Carmel, and this is my co-host Sean.
Hey guys, it is great to be back for another episode. We are remote this time. We are actually out in Las Vegas, and so we are recording at Green Valley Ranch. And but we're not talking about that. We're talking about parks today, as we usually do on this show. So first up in our segments is something we call Park Hop. Park Hop is where we take you on a hop around some of the parks for news that's coming up here, there, a little bit of everywhere in the Southern California scene. It's not a comprehensive list of all the news, just some of the things that have caught our attention. Always feel free to jump in the comments section and let us know any news that we might have missed that you want us to talk about on future episodes. So what's up first?
Okay, well, first up, we head over to the Disneyland Resort, where DCA has seen the opening of Frozen at the Hyperion. Early reports have all been positive. Has Frozen delivered another winner for Disney?
Well, it sounds like it. I mean, as much as people were dismayed at Aladdin leaving and Frozen taking its place, now that it's been open since, I believe it was May 27th was opening day, the Fast Pass tickets have been gone regularly in the evenings, actually in the mornings. I believe just today they started also placing the seating, so telling you whether you were balcony, and I'm not sure the logistics of how that work. We've not yet found. I just saw it on social media today. But that said, yeah, it's basically been you need to be there first thing in the morning. On extra magic hour days, people are using their extra hour from the hotel stays to even get in line early for it. So people seem excited about it. So far, everyone that I've heard has seen it, has liked it a lot. It's a full hour show. They're selling drinks or waters at least, and souvenirs and things like that. There's still no bathrooms, which is odd in the theater. You still have to walk down the way to off the page if you're gonna use a restroom. But full hour show, high quality, great cast from everything I heard. Now, I think it's telling me we've not seen it yet, and that's a few reasons. One being we've been super busy. Two being we're not usually at the park first thing in the morning. And three being that it just isn't really a huge priority for us in terms of covering it when video is not allowed. So, obviously we don't have our own opinion on that, but it definitely seems like a winner. The kids love Frozen. Beyond that, people love Frozen. So yeah, I definitely think it's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, I think we tried going once where we were there early enough. They've added an extra show time, right?
Yeah, I believe, it's starting June 17th. Okay. They'll move up to 4 shows. So actually, as this is airing, they'll just be about to that, yeah.
Okay, because at this point, I think the latest show is like 4:30.
Yeah, something like that, 3 shows.
Yeah, really tough for us to get to, but I think at least one day we were there. Actually during the day, but the fast passes were all gone, and there was the standby starting for the first show. Not starting, was already very long, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty evident that people are wanting to see it. I mean, we haven't been able to get into it because of the fast passes being gone and the standby lines being so long. I think though if I were going to use the restroom, I wouldn't go all the way to off the page. I'd probably go to the one right there toward what used to be the House of Cards, that building there. But yeah, weird that that's not there. As far as the show goes, yeah, I haven't heard anything negative, but I mean, I think Aladdin I only saw a handful of times. It's tough when we're always going. We have such a usually small time frame because we have to get back to our pets unless we have a pet sitter and things like that. So it's tough to make that time commitment, even if we did have the fast pass, even if we were to get in to spend an entire hour of our limited time going to that show. Tough. Aladdin, like I said, I only saw a handful of times in all the years that it was there, so it's not surprising to me that we haven't made it in. But
and it was always, Aladdin was always busy for the most part. I mean, it really held an audience there, and I think Frozen won't be any different. I don't think Frozen's going to be, dying out anytime soon. I mean, there won't be the same demand that there will be this summer, but I think that venue has proven that it's a place that if you put a high caliber show in there, that people will come there. Obviously, DCA still doesn't have anywhere near the amount of attractions that Disneyland does across the way, and so it becomes a nice place to stop in. And obviously in Southern California, a good chunk of the year is hot, and so it's a nice place to go grab some air conditioning as well. So yeah, I'm sure it'll do great for many years to come, and we'll see what happens if ever a Marvel Land does emerge. That might change the location continuation of that. We'll see what happens with that in the future, but definitely sounds like it's going all full power ahead, at least as of now. So
yes, hopefully we'll be able to get in and actually give an actual opinion from our own experience.
Right.
But until then, let's move across the Esplanade to Disney, where Disney Imagineers have been testing Jake, a new autonomous droid, at LaunchBay, which is in Tomorrowland in Disneyland Park. Is this a preview of the type of character interactions we'll be seeing in Star Wars Land? Or what do you think?
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, it was around that same time really of Frozen emerging, or that there were signs posted that there was filming going on, that there was testing going on, that there's this robot. Have seen pictures. We've not seen it ourselves in there. We've seen the signage, but not seen the droid. But I've seen the droid a few times online, and it's kind of interesting because, I mean, it would seem really obvious to me when they talked about Star Wars Land having droids out and interacting, going to as many conventions we go to, it seemed really obvious that you'd have lots of, you know, R2 and R5 units, and it just made sense that they would hire the droid builders to build them droids, and it's really, you know, it works really well at the conventions. I mean, the guys have the remote controls in little bags and they stay off of around the corner, and I mean, it'd be even easier for obviously Disney to build some, you know, areas for these guys to kind of hide out or whatever. But this droid is not an R2, it's not an R5. It really isn't anything from the Star Wars universe in terms of any real nostalgic way, but I do think that that's exactly what the testing's for. I mean, I think LaunchBay itself will have more characters over this year. I mean, I think we're going to see eventually the Captain Phasma show up, or some of these other characters, and I think the droids that as well. But I was just surprised that it wasn't, you know, it just seems so simple that they would just tap one of the droid builders to come in and build them a droid and try rolling R2 around for a little while, or R5 or any other droid, you know, that way. But to build kind of this different type of robot was kind of surprising and interesting, something that doesn't really have the nostalgia tie into it. I mean, it does make for a wider universe, but I don't know, at this point I want to see more of the real characters, the characters we're familiar with, rather than Disney created ones in there. But I do think it is, you know, definitely leading old Star Wars Land, and that's going to be, you know, a way for them to kind of one up the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Is the one thing that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter doesn't really have as much of, is those character experiences. I mean, they definitely do Ollivanders, you know, the conductor. I mean, they have those experiences, but not to the level that something like having these droids out or having some of the Cantina creatures or things like that could be.
Well, now even BB-8 for the movie was, didn't Lucas hire one of the droid builders?
They practical. Well, they had a different company for that, but yeah, they've hired droid builders to work on episode 7, and so for The Force Awakens, yeah. And BB-8, I mean, there was definitely CGI in a lot of the scenes, but there are practical ones. Obviously, at Star Wars Celebration, it came out on the main stage. So, yeah, I mean, BB-8, I would not be holding my breath for him to come out as likely. But no, it's a point. I mean, they have a history, at least the Walt Disney Company does, not necessarily the park branch specifically.
To reach out to those guys or girls who build those, and that's interesting. Now, I'm a little surprised that Season of the Force is still going on, because I'm pretty sure at some point several months ago I had read, I think on one of the blog articles, that Season of the Force was only going to be here until May.
May, right.
But it's still going full force, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, and I mean, it made sense that then it would return around maybe Force Friday and definitely be back for Rogue One. But I don't know now. I mean, the only real barrier to it just continuing for the next however many months is during the Halloween season if they want to do Ghost Galaxy. Obviously, we've seen them make cuts to their Halloween programming consistently year over year, so it wouldn't be a surprise if they just put Ghost Galaxy to bed. I've not heard anyone clamoring for Ghost Galaxy, and I don't think we would hear anybody clamoring for it. The only unfortunate thing there is just, again, seeing Disney cut more of Halloween, because we already know we're losing the Thunder Ranch Trail. I mean, that's gone, obviously. We lost last year, which seemed a bit premature, but the whole area where they had all the pumpkin carvers and the little shows and stuff like that. So Season of the Force may just be one long season until next year. The vault and all the Marvel, the superhero HQ area upstairs, it's still, well, what exactly is going on up there, I'm not sure, but you can still see the vault and that wall visuals and stuff like that. But so the thought is that ultimately a Star Wars Land preview will make its way up there in the months to come. So, you know, we'll see, but it may just stay Season of the Force. Tomorrowland may be Season of the Force until Star Wars Land opens at this pace.
Well, it really makes sense. I mean, that area prior to Season of the Force was pretty empty.
Yeah.
There just wasn't much to do or see over there. And now that area is just as packed as any other area. Obviously, the fact that so much of the park is closed and stuff, there's no place else to go but what is available, and that's one of the areas that is. But, I mean, Hyperspace Mountain, even as of now, it's tough to get a fast pass in the evenings when we go because they're gone earlier than that, and that wasn't the case before. All that area is so much busier now than it ever was in recent years.
Yeah, and even, I mean, LaunchBay hasn't been super busy, but they are able to juice up any of Season of the Force any day they want to, like they did on May the 4th. It's all they have to do is do a quick little merch release or have some little extra added entertainment, throw in a different movie into, you know, into the Magic Eye Theater. And so one thing that Season of the Force gives them, the Star Wars Presence gives them, is it gives them always the out if things are not maybe as high of a rate of occupancy over there as they want. They can always turn up the juice just by interjecting any little extra there, and people will come running because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars basically, at least for now, breaks all the rules. There's really nothing to contain it. And so yeah, so Jake is, you know, the newest member of the Season of the Force family, and we'll see. There's really not a ton of characters. We've talked about that. That's kind of surprising how little. I mean, you've got a couple troopers outside, you've got Kylo Ren and Chewbacca, and then the occasional Boba Fett appearance throughout the day in the cantina. So it'd be nice to see some droids, and it seems like a really easy thing. Again, being convention goers, it's really not that hard by Disney standards to have some droids rolling around in there, and so it would seem like a cool thing. And hopefully we don't just see this Jake droid rolling around, but we see a few of the droids rolling around in the weeks or months to come.
Oh, that'd be cool. But until then, why don't we move over to Hollywood Universal Studios, where they recently held the Walker Boot Camp in preparation for the July 4th opening of the year-round Walking Dead attraction. Greg Nicotero and John Murdy were on hand and had lots to say about the new attraction. You were actually able to be there at that boot camp. Do you think the public is ready for this type of attraction?
Yeah, well, we included this news story because, I mean, we've talked about the Walking Dead attraction several times here, but one of the things that came to mind at Walker Boot Camp was you had a lot of mainstream media there, and the question came up numerous times about why a Walking Dead attraction, why not a Walking Dead ride, why, how will a year-round haunt do, differences between a year-round haunt and a seasonal haunt, and all these things. But what was really clear, particularly from the mainstream media side, was the idea of, you know, how is this going to fit to have a haunt year-round? And John Murdy, who is, you know, of Horror Nights fame, creative director there, and then Greg Nicotero, executive producer and director and actor and special effects guy and just about everything over at The Walking Dead on AMC. They both just spoke to kind of the special nature of Walking Dead, that it's, you know, it is at such an apex right now in terms of popularity, and they feel, kind of going back to Star Wars, there's really this feeling that it kind of doesn't have the same rules in a lot of ways, and that it will attract an audience, and that the Walking Dead fans, I mean, Murdy at one point answered the question exactly that way and said the Walking Dead fans will be there day in, day out for it. So we'll see with that. I'm anxious to see it. I am so curious, though, really, to kind of, you know, I guess be cagey and not give answers. I'm just really curious, and I think we have addressed this in past episodes of this. You know, how do people show up for it during the slower seasons, during the non-haunt season? It's starting at a great time. I mean, it's going to be super busy July 4th through the summer. Then it's going to roll into haunt season in September and October. So really the question becomes November, December. Obviously, a lot of questions also in terms of the actors and staffing. Now, one of the things that came up at the boot camp was a question about staffing. And he said it'll be in the neighborhood of around 12 actors and about 24 animated or characters, you know, different types of figures that have some sort of animation to them, which I believe he said they'll included like the hands reaching from the door scene and stuff. So we'll see how much that actually plays out in terms of characters there. But obviously, 12 actors is much easier to maintain than 24 actors or something like that in there. So it'll be interesting how it is. But I think the public is definitely hungry for it now. Will their appetite remain the same as it goes on? And obviously everything's always tethered back to the shows too. That said, I mean, Waterworld has had an amazing run despite the movie not having an amazing run. So even if Walking Dead, which seems unlikely, all of a sudden became not the most popular TV show in the world, I think the attraction could still hold a crowd for a long, long time.
That's interesting. I assume it's all indoors, which is
Right.
different than a traditional haunt in the Halloween season, where oftentimes it's a temporary
Yeah.
building or whatever to hold the haunt, whereas if this is indoors, if for no other reason, escaping heat might be a good
Right.
way to go in there and get some air conditioning as we go through. But it's interesting because we do have so many friends that aren't part of the haunt world that don't really enjoy the haunt season or the scariness of that. I don't think they're going to be the ones that are going to be going into that haunt anyways.
Right.
But we do have friends that are Walking Dead fans that aren't haunt fans. So I guess that's probably that cross section of people that they're really going to want and expect to go in. I imagine a younger crowd too
Right.
would want to go into that area.
Yeah, I think it pairs up really well with Fast and the Furious in terms of, just a little bit of a different demographic than some of the other, than, Despicable Me, or Secret Life of Pets if that comes, or, maybe even Potter. And there's obviously a cross-section of interest amongst all of them as well, but it gives something, again, a little more intense. One of the things Universal Studios Hollywood has always had as kind of an ace in the hole against something like Disneyland is it's never really focused as much on being a family park. I mean, definitely they're not trying to offend the kids or anything, but they've always kind of prided themselves on having a little bit of the scare, a little bit of shock value. I mean, Norman Bates comes at you with a knife on the studio tour for a reason. The floods come at you,
Jaws.
Earthquake, Jaws. They scare you, and that's part of their kind of entertainment. And so I think Walking Dead fits well with that, and it obviously is kind of the next step in the evolution of that type of entertainment. And so yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think we're all anxious to see how it proceeds and I'm just still very interested in what the repeatability is going to be on that type
Right.
of attraction, because we don't make it to Universal Studios all that often, but I can't imagine that every one of those trips that we go out there, assuming there isn't a long line, that we're not going to be going through that attraction.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, we make it out about once a month, so it's a lot
well, I guess
relative
compared to Disneyland
right.
or Knott's, where we go multiple times a week sometimes.
Right. Yeah, it's a much further drive than that in traffic, so. Alrighty, next up is our segment called Magnification. And Magnification is where we take an adventure through the inner space and really focus in on one specific attraction, location, event, whatever it might be. And this week we've got a special episode. We're going to have two magnifications. We've got two big things that have happened in the last few weeks since our last episode. So we'll have two magnifications. We'll skip park tips this time, come back to that hopefully next time. It's a busy time of year, and so we want to get both of these in this time. So first up, we're going out to San Dimas to visit Raging Waters. And Raging Waters, it's really cool. They had reached out to us about coming out to the park and checking it out, and we went out there and we spent about 4 straight hours just doing video, photo, social media. We saw every, nook and cranny of that place that we could in that amount of time and got a good feel for it and had a really good time. There was a lot of neat things there. It was much more family friendly than I had originally thought, or I guess I shouldn't say how I originally thought, how I remembered it in a lot of ways. It'd been quite some time since I'd been there. It was the first time that you've been there at all.
Yeah, although having been in California my entire life, I've never made it to Raging Waters. I always saw the commercials where the 10 and 210 meet in San Dimas, and then later on where the 10, 210, and 57 meet in San Dimas, and still just never made it there. Granted, my family hasn't ever been the biggest into water parks and pools and just water in general. But yeah, I just never made it out there, even as a teen or anything like that. So it was cool to go there and get to experience something that I just haven't had a chance to in the last however many years.
All right.
Ever.
And that we always talk about, that's kind of the, you know, the best thing about doing parks and cons is it gets us out to experience some things that we just otherwise might not have, and then, you know, oftentimes we enjoy it. So why don't we bring you a slice of Raging Waters? We'll show you some of the highlights of the video, some of the things that we enjoyed as we made our way around the park. We'll have more of this all on our website. Also, we have a full podcast, or I shouldn't say a full podcast, but a big chunk of a podcast dedicated to talking about Raging Waters as well over on iTunes and Stitcher. But for now, let's go ahead out to San Dimas and show you a little bit of the fun in the water. So hopefully you enjoyed that look at the fun there. Obviously not the same as getting in the water or making your way through the park and checking it out, but definitely hopefully gives you a good feel for it. I mean, the summer season, obviously that is the season for water parks, and Raging Waters is really at the top of the game when it comes to those types of attractions and those sorts of options. The thing that I liked most about it in our time there was just as I said, I didn't recall it being as well suited for so many different ages. Like, I really felt like you could come with a family and have a 6-month-old, and there was, places for that child to be held in the water and get their toes wet and kind of, marvel at the playground aspects and stuff. And obviously 2-year-old and 5-year-old, and all the way up to, the teens going on the fast, slides and things like that, the hydro coaster, and then to, those of us like me that would want a slower experience and just kind of float along down the lazy river or whatever. It really was a nice meshing. I could see a family coming out there and spending a good chunk of a day, open to close, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and just, meeting up for meals and meeting up for certain activities they want to do together, but also being able to break apart and feel safe in the park. The lifeguards were so vigilant. They were everywhere and constantly. I've never seen a group of lifeguards so on top of things, and so it just felt like a really safe, welcoming, family-friendly atmosphere, and definitely a place I think is worthwhile checking out if you've not been there for a while, you're not aware of it. If you are aware of it, you probably make it, I know a lot of people do make it kind of a summer ritual to go out there a few times.
Yeah, and I think I was most surprised by the food selections that were available. Now, granted, the day that we went was very early in the season and wasn't busy enough that warranted a lot of those places to be open. But looking around, even what was open, I was surprised by how many food options there were and the amount of seating areas there were and stuff. It just looked like a really fun place to hang out and spend time at. And their season pass prices, very reasonable. The day passes could be considered, I guess, maybe a little pricey. I mean, not that it's not worth it, but definitely the season pass is a really great deal.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, just in general, it just seemed like a great park and a great place to hang out, and all the people that we saw there were enjoying themselves, and being at the park that day in particular wasn't so crowded, I'm sure helped with that. But yeah, just in general, I don't really think I had any negative perceptions of it or anything that I saw that was negative.
No, and like many, I mean, right now we're out in Vegas, and as we, checked out the Bellagio Gardens or things like that, as people would jump on social media and talk about like how special those places were, and it, it strikes you because so much of our year is spent at various, we know San Diego Comic-Con, how people feel about it, or a WonderCon, or a Knott's, or Disneyland, or whatever. But anyway, a lot of people jumped on social media and just talked about how much they did love Raging Waters and how it's something that they've done with their family for so many years, and that, for them it's really not summer until they've made their way to Raging Waters. They make repeated trips to Raging Waters. So it's definitely, a big audience there that's been a part of their life for many, many years. There's a certain, I don't think people necessarily think of legacy or tradition maybe when they think of water parks, but I think Raging Waters has had that. And it's neat to see that it's been a place for families for so long, and it definitely is in a good place right now. And I think just becoming more popular with the years that goes on, and as they put more money into improving the parks and even adding more options for the families.
Yeah, I was also surprised by their new ride, the rocket. I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but it's basically a rocket sort of situation where it's almost like a roller coaster in the water, which to me, most of those rides and slides and things are mostly just gravity taking you in one way or another. Twist, turn, it's just a straight down some way. But yeah, that ride where it's actually up and down and stuff looked really cool, and since I prefer roller coasters and water slides for the most part, I was intrigued by that. But obviously we didn't have a chance to actually get in the water this time. We just didn't have time to do that, but definitely could see going back and actually getting on, if nothing else, that ride in particular really was, I think, the one that caught my attention the most.
Definitely. So if you're interested in Raging Waters, giving it a shot, head over to our website. Actually, we teamed up with them, and we have a discounted price of tickets on our website. So you can just go to our homepage. Right there to the right side there, you can click on the Raging Waters link and check out the options there. And some pretty good discounts there for the ticket prices. So definitely check that out when you get the time.
Right, and I'm not sure before you mentioned the YouTube channel playlist. So there's already lots of videos up there. So you can take a look at those and kind of peruse. I don't remember how many videos there are, but it's
there was like almost 40 videos, I think. So we took a video of everything from the food spots to the beaches to all the slides. So yeah, you can check out all of Raging Waters on our playlist there over on the YouTube channel. So definitely check it out.
Yep.
All right, so our second Magnification. Now we head back to very familiar territory at Knott's Berry Farm. There's been a lot with them recently because it is the 75th anniversary of Ghost Town, and obviously it's a big, big deal there. And so we've been out at the farm for a few different media events in the last few weeks, and the most recent one was kind of their big summer kickoff. You know, they launched their usual summer programming with the stunt show and the Snoopy Ice Show and things like that, but the real focus was Ghost Town Alive, the new interactive experience in Ghost Town where the peek-ins are opened up and you have actors inhabiting them, so you could actually interact and play cards with them and deliver love letters and run for office and all these sorts of fun things there, all going inside of Ghost Town. And big deal obviously is Ghost Rider reopening. And so Ghost Rider, very popular, beloved, but a coaster that, you know, had seen better days as it really kind of, you know, started to hurt people literally physically. I mean, it still had huge lines, but people got shaken up pretty good in that wood coaster as it aged over the years, and that got rehabilitated and made pretty awesome and amazing as well. So we will talk a little bit about all of this, but before we do that, why don't we go ahead and take you down to Knott's Berry Farm so you can see some highlights of Ghost Town Alive, Ghost Rider, and just all the fun that's going on.
They'll let anyone in here.
Enjoy the rest of your So I could just take this to the bank. We're going to pay me right around $1,000, I think.
You can take it over there to the Ashley office.
Yeah. They're going to be like,
Pretty simple. We pick it up with two hands, keep it that number right. Or a circle motion. See how that sounds good? We're creating a little polo pool.
No, this is real quick. It only takes about half an hour, right?
Okay. Do I just stay here the whole time?
Act real natural, yeah.
Okay.
Real still.
I'll be back though.
Alright, no, I'm just messing with you. I'll count this off on 3 and 2 and 1. And we're good. Alright, thank you very much, man.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. You see my boss? Mr. Bixby?
Oh, that's actually called a camera.
I like that name. It's like name my child.
Thank you.
That's my horse.
I parked my horse over there.
Yeah. Within a course is infinite. I know. It's neat, huh? That is so cool. And on top of that, it's got a little bit of rust. Hey.
Good. How do you like Ghost Rider?
Well, rocking chair's going.
Yes. Yes, everyone thought
She
that
nice?
Well, everyone thought that she was a witch. I thought she was a really nice
I was told
person.
she was a witch.
Yeah,
So we got
I
a
thought
haunted
she was really
peek in here, you
sweet.
guys.
She was always really
They're
nice
scared
to
I'm like
us.
probably related to her.
Well, hey, I would not let anybody hang any one of you today, all right? Okay.
Oh man. That's only in October.
Well, yeah, and fair trials. Fair trials is what we also do. I mean, we have to do the full. If anyone's getting hung, you have to take them to town hall.
Oh, yeah.
And then we actually have
It's
to have a
approval
trial.
process?
We have to. Yes. We don't just throw anybody up. No,
Okay.
everybody's safe here in town. In fact, I have to go ahead and check all the rest of you out. I wouldn't be doing my job as the doctor in town otherwise. Could you go ahead and just open up your mouth really quick and say ah?
Oh, okay.
Absolutely perfect. Beautiful tone. Must be part of the choir. Okay, we're gonna test your reflexes now. Yeah, no, go ahead and get your hand up. Well, freaking look at that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and make sure you can quack like a duck.
Quack.
Absolutely perfect. You are fit as a fiddle.
Oh, thank God.
Don't forget, in fact, you guys can also help me out with that. If you want to go around town, and actually I can make you my doctor's assistant,
Okay.
go to any one of the other citizens in town and go ahead and do that test and make sure we're good for the hotel.
Okay.
In fact, go ahead and do that on me right now.
Okay.
Open my mouth.
Yeah,
right.
open your mouth.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
You said you're part of the choir, so.
Oh, well,
All right.
thank you.
Put your right hand up.
Okay.
Quack like
Whack,
a duck.
whack, 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 whack,
You are
whack.
fit as you
You are so good at this, and we're going to have to give you your own MD license pretty soon.
can be. Wow, I didn't have to go to school.
Well, in fact, here, no, who needs school when you just have a certificate? And I don't have a single piece of paper left. But we're going to have to get you one if we find
Okay.
you later. So, in fact, where were you folks headed over this way?
The
To the right.
To the right, to the bank? Oh, okay, you guys.
If he gave it to you, then it's yours.
Wow, he just told me to check.
Ah, well, there's his goal.
That's true. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Nice meeting you.
You as well. And you've heard about, of course, the hoedown tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll be at the hoedown. Good, very good.
Are you going to be there?
Of course I will be there. Okay.
Oh, look at, where did you hear that?
Mr. Fortune. He says hello. We picked something up, but
not for her.
not for you.
Oh,
But we made a pit stop for us to say hello, and Mr. Fortune says hello.
I'll see.
Fortune.
he's a charming man, isn't
I was quite smitten.
he? You were.
We all giggled.
He's lovely. He passes by the schoolhouse every morning while I'm cleaning it and singing, and I go to say hello to him, and he runs away.
What?
I know, and I don't know if I frightened him away or what it is, but
So you've never talked?
no.
Aw, they've only heard your voice.
Yes.
Aw.
Maybe we could deliver a message.
You think you could do that? Oh my goodness. Well, what should I tell him?
Say like his hat.
Well, I do like his hat. That's very true. That's good.
That's hot.
Dear Mr. Fortune,
With pencils.
I like your hat. That's not too forward, is it?
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
Oh.
It's a very handsome hat.
Okay. What else should I say?
Rick, help me out.
Then he has delectable fashion sense.
Yeah.
There.
Wow, Rick. Good job. I think he's going to really enjoy this
Oh, I
message.
think so.
What do you think, Rick?
Oh, I think he's going to be a very happy man.
Goodness. Should I say anything else?
Make sure you put your name in there.
Oh, right. How do I sign it? So that it's not too forward, but there's...
Well, there has to be a postscript.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Come say hi, and don't be tardy.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, we're talking.
Don't be tired.
Don't be tardy.
Right before, the hoedown is going to happen, and you can't be tardy, and,
See?
you know.
Does he have a date to the hoedown?
I bet he does not.
Well, I hope he comes to say hello before the hoedown.
That's right.
Oh,
He's not too far.
If he does have a date, he's going to drop it faster than an ill-fitting horseshoe.
my goodness. Well, thank you.
All right, well, we'll send the message.
Thank you so much.
You have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye, Miss
Bring
Miss.
home to school.
And don't stop singing.
What does it say?
Better.
Dear Mr. Fortune.
Oh, I love the way she says that.
I like your hat.
She likes it.
You have a delectable fashion sense.
Delectable. Oh, such a way with words she has.
Kindly, Miss Sierra. Postscript, come say hi, and don't be tardy.
Oh, be tardy, of course. Oh, you mustn't be tardy to school.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. Would you like me to give a favor of mine?
Oh, sure.
Give her that.
I will. I will.
The next time you're headed that way.
Okay, you bet we will. All right.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm
Keep that safe. Don't be tardy.
Okay, no.
Of course.
Okay.
What time should I be there?
Whenever it feels right.
But before the hoedown.
But not be tardy to the
And then
time
ask her to the hoedown. And then ask her to the hoedown. She mentioned something about I wonder if he has a date.
Oh, Miss, she's so lovely, and thank you all so much for your I couldn't have done this all on my own. Thank you so much.
That's great.
Maybe ask her if she has a date.
Oh, okay.
I mean, gorgeous girl like that. I'm sure she's had tons of suitors asking for her.
I don't know.
She likes your hat.
She likes your hat, and she seemed pretty Twitter-pated when we told her.
Oh, Twitter-pated. Very nice indeed. Well, thank you so much
All right.
once again.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice and low, stand them straight, and away we go. Do-si-do to the right. Do-si-do to the left. Hook your arm, swing your partner around. Other arm, keep your feet on the ground. Now cross hands, first couple, and promenade down. That's it. Now bar to your partner, nice and low. Stand up straight and away we go. One more time. Now do-si-do to the right. Then do-si-do to the left. Hook your arm, swing your partner around. Other arm, that's right, feet on the ground. Couple in front, first two couples cross arms, promenade down. You all are quick learners. Bow to your partner nice and low. One more time, away we go. Do-si-do to the right. Now do-si-do to the left. Hook your arm, swing your partner around. Other arm, keep your feet on the ground. Now cross your arms, couple, and promenade down. That's so great with that promenade. Hey there, folks, that's how a dance is made. Give yourselves a big hand.
Everybody, give them a round of applause. Wow. Well, right now, we have some entertainment from y'all from down in Miss Goldie's Saloon. Are you ready? Let me hear you, Calico. They're here to entertain you. Now, give them a big round of applause, big welcome for Miss Goldie's Saloon Girls. Let's go, let's hear it. Come on, everybody.
Come along and running, lay your head right you count. There's gonna be a meeting in this good little town. And you know everybody and they all know you. And you've got a great dance, it's that way to win. When you hear the bells go ring-a-ling, all going dance together we will sing. And the day is through, gladly we will say there's been a hot time in Calico today. Friends for everybody in this good old town. For the old prospector who's never in the crowd. And there's Mayor Horton Carnell and he's just getting his best. Taking care of business on this weekend and test. When you hear the bells go ring-a-ling, all join hands and together we will sing. And when the day is through, finally we will say there's been a hot time in Calico today. When you hear the bells go ring-a-ling, all join hands and together we will sing. And when the day is through, finally we will
So if you enjoyed that little slice of Ghost Town Alive and just the Ghost Town 75th anniversary, there's a lot to see there right now. By its very nature, Ghost Town Alive being such a highly interactive experience, you could go every day of the summer and find new storylines emerging. The actors are constantly improvising. I mean, I think it's got to be a dream for them as actors to spend, 8 hours a day improvising away and, playing off of the different clientele that comes in there. But that said, one of the things that I really like, because we were there on May 27th, which was the first day of Ghost Town Alive. It was not any kind of media day, but it was just open to the public. And I saw people love it. Like, the kids loved it, the adults loved it. Particularly though, I was impressed with the way teens and preteens, like the 11, 12-year-olds, just seem hooked on it. All these kids excited about spelling their name in Morse code and playing cards with the sheriff and all these things. And I thought that's really cool, because I kind of thought, well, maybe they'd be too jaded to really want to get into all of that, but they loved it. And so then I was kind of curious when the media day would come on June 9th and just see how the media, the press would react. You've got, theme park sites, you've got bloggers, you've got mommy bloggers, you've got, big time media or whatever, traditional media. And what really seemed consistent is they all seemed to love it again. Like, it was really, really well regarded. I mean, I'm sure there had to been somebody out there that didn't, but everybody we heard, and we talked to a lot of people that day, everything else on social media, which was even more vast than that, they really seemed to enjoy it. And I know what we liked and what many of them mentioned was just that you do have all these storylines. So it's not like there's just one storyline. There's multiple storylines. These actors know their character and they play off of each other, and then the storylines all kind of tangle and then are unraveled at the hoedown every day at 5:30 is kind of the culmination of the various storylines. And there's a big dance, and the Mayfield gang is caught, and all these different fun things. And so there's these story beats throughout the day that this thing always happens at 11 a.m. or noon or 2 p.m. or whatever. But what happens on the in-between of getting to those points is different, and people seem to enjoy it. I know I enjoyed it, and I think it's come back with a lot of people wanting to make multiple trips out there and get out there and see these actors doing their thing.
Yeah, I don't know that we've really done an event like that where it potentially could have just been horrible and people just not like it at all.
Right.
But just just across the board, all positive. I mean, I don't think I have heard anything negative from anybody about the event, and it might be in part that, well, obviously the actors are great and stuff, but I kind of like that the level of your involvement is kind of just up to each individual person to decide how much they want to be involved and how much they want to interact. I mean, me personally, I like to just sit back and kind of watch what everybody else is doing, and I enjoy that, and seeing everybody enjoying themselves and seeing so many kids and adults going around with their drawn-on mustaches and just enjoying themselves and carrying around their newspapers and different things that they're working on and stuff is a lot of fun. And obviously, if you're one who actually wants to be involved, the actors are so good about pulling you in. I mean, even when I'm not necessarily looking to interact with people, there's usually an actor coming up and saying something, and if I wanted to interact with them more, they would have stayed around more, but usually I'm pretty quick about that stuff, and they were very polite and then moved on to the next situation or next person, and it's just a lot of fun. And yeah, I really, really love that at the hoedown all the stories kind of tie together and it's a happy ending for everybody.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but
Right.
shouldn't have said that, I guess. But it's a fun thing, and everybody enjoys themselves. It's kind of this party, and then part ways, and it's just kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and it's it's got a lot of repeatability to it, and as you said, that it could have gone really wrong in that, first and foremost, if the actors didn't really own it, and they're great. They're witty, they're funny, they're charismatic, and they're very dynamic. It's a really dynamic group of actors that are able to turn on a dime, and that's hugely, hugely important. The other thing that could have gone wrong is it just seemed, again, to me, and obviously Knott knows their audience better than I do, but I just could have seen, you know, people being really jaded to it. And maybe the thought was the jaded people would just jump on the roller coasters, and maybe they do. Maybe that's it, is, you know, the people that are really interacting are the ones that want to interact. But it's a really neat experience. You know, we're always fans of new ideas, new ways of kind of bringing things to life, and also we're always fans of things that kind of spread people out in a park and give them things to do without waiting in line. And one of the really great things about Ghost Town Alive is there's really no waiting in lines for the most part. I mean, you're pretty much constantly moving around. If you want to get into a Peek In and it's full, you just walk to the next one or come back. And there isn't this situation. I know some people are concerned there'd be, you know, lines to get into the sheriff's office or things like that. And that's not really happening. It's very organic. It's like a real town that's come alive, you know. So, so with all that being said, though, what I think was the headline, even though Ghost Town Alive, I think maybe stole a little bit of the headlines, not by much, was Ghost Rider. And so I'm not a roller coaster person, but you are. And Ghost Rider, similar to Ghost Town Alive, everything's been positive. Everybody's loving Ghost Rider. So what do you think?
I loved it too. It was probably better than I was expecting it to be. Obviously, they said it was going to be smoother, and they said it was going to be faster. But I am one of those people that before it was renovated, it had been years since I had gone on it, because when I last had gone on it, I got off the ride with a headache and I was sore and I didn't want to go back on it. And I believe we were at Knott's the last day that the old version was going, and I had the opportunity to get on it, and I just didn't, because I didn't want to spend the rest of the day hurting. So the fact that it was nothing like that is incredible to me. And there's just so many good aspects to it. I mean, it's much smoother, it's quicker. There used to be a point where the ride would kind of halt and then almost kind of reset and keep going. That's not there anymore. It's just great all the way around. And was one thing when in the morning before it was open to the public and everybody seemed positive, all the media type people, all the press type people, everybody was enjoying it, which that's also a little unique, because oftentimes at these types of events, people are looking to complain about something, or looking to find that negative twist to it to then report and have some big headline or something. I didn't hear any of that, and all the media were positive. And then when it was open to the public, with the media, people were coming when the ride ended, were applauding. But then when it was open to the public, even the public, throughout the day, even on the last time that I rode it, which was early evening, I guess.
Yeah, 6, 7 at night.
Yeah, I mean, people came in from their ride and were applauding, and that wasn't media people. There wasn't anybody standing around taking pictures at that point. It was just people riding the ride.
And those were people that waited about 2 hours in line. At least that was what they were quoting around that 5, 6 o'clock time of night. So yeah, they not only waited, they waited and then really enjoyed it and felt the time was worth it to applaud. So yeah, it says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I'm a little saddened by is that I don't think I'll be riding it anytime soon again, because even with before it was renovated, the older version, that ride had a long line. It just took a long time to get on that ride.
It's a slow loading coaster, yeah.
Yeah, they have to go through their security checks, and with the renovation, each coaster, they took out a row of seats, so there's 2 people fewer, I guess, per ride or per coaster, and then they took out one of the coasters, right? So now it's just 2.
2 trains, yeah.
2 trains. So the wait is going to be really bad, and so there was already a bad line of people who were willing to ride it, and now those people are going to ride it, and everybody else who hasn't been riding it want to go back on it. So it's going to be a really long line, I think, most of the summer and for the foreseeable future, which is great for the ride and great for the park. But me personally, I'm a little saddened, because I'm a line snob. I don't like to wait in line for most things much more than like 10-15 minutes, so I won't be getting on it anytime soon. So that's the only thing that I see as a downside. But I mean, at points during the day, I was out in the street outside of the park, and seeing kids coming in for their field trips. They were just so excited that Ghost Rider was open. I mean, almost every group of kids that walked by was like, "Ghost Rider's open! We're going on Ghost Rider!" And it's cool to see that type of enthusiasm, and then so obviously these people are going in with that expectation of high expectations, then they're waiting a long time, then they're getting off the ride and they're still applauding. I mean, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, so Ghost Rider, definitely a huge hit. Ghost Town Alive, a huge hit. And then we'll see the other things that have kind of opened up and popped up that all kind of, you've got a new stunt show, you've got a new stage show with also a new Calico stage, which was not opened up for the media day, but is opening up. By the time this is up on YouTube, should be opened up as well. Calico Park also getting some touches and opening up there. So a lot of new things. Also, again, you've got the ice show and also a lot of nighttime entertainment like the Ghost Town Miners and the the swing music and things like that. So just a lot going on. I mean, there was points during last summer that there was over, I believe, 17, 18 different shows, music or otherwise, going on at Knott's on any given day. So a lot of options there for fun. So it's definitely going to be a big summer. It was a great couple of weeks that we've had there as everything's kind of slowly opening up. It's been fun to see all these new things, and similar to what we talked about with Season of the Force and that kind of rolling into the Halloween season, there is now with with Knott's, is it's going to be crazy busy. People are going to really enjoy all this summer programming, and that's going to roll right into kind of haunt season, and then before we know it, we're going to be there at Scary Farm, which is really exciting as well. But definitely huge congrats to everybody that's worked on this big project. Excited to see next year at the ribbon cutting ceremony, it was announced that Not Soak City is getting the love for next year. So every year, it's been really neat. It's just, you can, put it on the calendar as every year you can count on the summer there's going to be something new. So next year, Soak City's getting a lot of love. I'm sure there'll be a few other things, but obviously with all that, we've talked about Mrs. Knott's before on this show in terms of the new stuff there as well. That was part of the media day, but there's a lot to see. If you've not been to Knott's Berry Farm in the last, I'd say, month even, and definitely longer than that, it's well worth going out there. We've consistently heard people that not been there in any span from a few months to a few years to a lot of years that are really loving it and enjoying it already, and that was before Ghost Town Alive and Ghost Rider reopened and all of that. So definitely lots of stuff to check out there. All right, well, that's a good time to wrap up this episode. A couple magnifications there. Hopefully you enjoyed the looks at those parks. Lots of fun things going on this summer, and we will be having more as we go on. But before that, let's go ahead and wrap up. Where can people go ahead and find you on social media?
You can reach me directly on Twitter at Connoisseur, which is CON_NOISSEUR, or you can email me directly at carmel@parksandcons.com.
And you can find me on all of our social media platforms, and as well my own personal platform on Twitter at @_con_influence, at the Confluence there. Please, if you are interested in conventions, check out our other show. The idea, we try to alternate. We got a little bit disjointed in the last few weeks with so much going on, but in general, every other week we have a new show between Park Talk and Con Talk, Park Talk and Con Talk. So definitely, if interested in cons and this is not something you've checked out before, check out our Con Talk episodes from the past and coming up. Also, if you're interested in more in-depth conversation about all these things at the parks and the cons, please check out on iTunes and Stitcher our podcast, Parks and Cons. We record them for the most part in the heat of the action. So for example, the 75 podcast or the Raging Waters one, we recorded it at the parks at that very moment, so you get some of the sound of what's going on behind, and also you get like our thoughts in the moment, various focus on just that much larger format or more detailed format in a lot of ways than what we do here on the talk show. We're covering a lot of different topics there. Please help support the show by subscribing to the YouTube channel. It really helps us. That's one of our goals in 2016, is to increase the subscriptions on our YouTube channel, so please help us by spreading the word there. Please tell your friends about us. It's always the best thing you can do if you want to help out the show, is let them know that we are out there. You can find us, as I said, on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Periscope, all of them Parks and Cons. Very simple and easy way to find us there. So again, thank you for joining us for this episode, and until next time, we'll see you in line.